All right. Welcome to those watching us later on YouTube. And thanks for being here with the Tulsa Center for Spiritual Living on this Saturday, April 20th, 2024, just before Earth Day, which is on, Myrna, is it on Monday? Did we say?
Yes.
Earth Day is on Monday, so let's remember that. It's so easy to feel good about the earth when we're in Tulsa right now, looking at the beautiful, magnificent colors bursting forth along with the vines and the bamboo in my yard. It begins to take over everything. But anyway, I've got an affirmation for us all to say today. I breathe gentleness
I breathe gentleness
into all the ways
into all the ways
our communities and cultures
our community and cultures
evolve.
evolve.
All right, so we're going to breathe gentleness. That's what we were doing all month, breathing this essence of gentleness into the world. Will you switch these lights, Philippa? Or, yeah. Perfect. So we think about the founder of this teaching, Ernest Holmes, and what better way to start with this amazing quote? If we would look for a God of love, if we would look for a God of love, we must look long and deeply into each other, right? We must look away from the differences until we penetrate into the unity of the whole. Love alone reveals love. Hate but hides the gleam of love. Ernest Holmes hits it so simply as he always does. If we're looking for a God of love, first of all, if you're looking for God as an entity, we're not going to see it, right? We're not in the Catholic Church where we can look up on the wall or we're not in the Sistine Chapel. God is a concept. It's ethereal. It's love. So if we're looking for that, if we're looking for love, we have to look deeply into each other or into ourselves, right? And I'm looking out at the room and I see differences. I see different sizes and shapes and colors and hairs and personalities and feet, right? Things are just different. But if I want to really move through and beyond that idea, to that idea of unity, then I've got to search for the wholeness, the sense of love, seeing it in each other. And when I allow the essence or the feeling of hate into, we don't use that word very often, but may have feelings that feel a lot like hate sometimes. Hate is going to hide the gleam, the essence, the shine, the brilliance of the love that we know to be God and each other. So this month we are remembering that using the concept of gentleness is powerful. And the idea of a giant, a big open gentleness opens us up to who we really want to be. And this week we're going to breathe gentleness into our communities, our politics, and the activities of life. We are probably living in one of the most decisive times in human history, or at least sometimes to me it feels that way. We are inundated with the power of the media, and we see more polarized opinions than ever before. My dad watches Fox News, and we have figured out a way to have kind, loving, clear, laughable conversations, right? By bringing a lightness to the differences that we have in the world, right? Now, he doesn't buy everything he gets there, but like we've been able to navigate differences and laugh about how strong our opinions can be, right? But fundamental to our teaching is love. That's an expression of love, of engaging someone I love and meandering through our differences. And love is indeed the very essence of gentleness. Gentleness is an expression of love, a way of letting love out, right? And I'm going to go to Ernest again. Life is not only where we are, it is what we are. So my life isn't me standing here living in Tulsa. It is what I am. It is in us as well as around us. And its whole impulsion, the whole essence, the movement of life is love. The universe does not rest on the shoulders of love. Love is the real lodestone of life. Love that, the lodestone of life. And then I thought, I've heard about lodestone forever. Let me see what it really is. And a lodestone is a piece of mineral. I know you know this, Dale. Mineral magnetite that has become naturally magnetized and can thus attract iron. Lodestones led to the discovery of magnetism in ancient history. And shortly after they were discovered, they began to be used in magnetic compasses to help early travelers navigate. So Ernest is telling us here that love is the real lodestone of life. Makes sense, right? Love is this naturally created thing that has that draws things to it, right? It's naturally magnetized, naturally created as love. And like the lodestone, they can be used, love can be a compass. Love, tapping into love within us can be the compass that helps guide us in our way. Are we headed north and we want to be heading north? Are we heading south in the opposite direction of where we want to be going? Ernest hits it home so well there. We are one. We are one energy in a myriad of forms. We are individualized expressions of the divine, right? And we get to know that no one and no thing is for us or against us. Life just simply is. There is only this essence of love everywhere. Now, as I dive into the concept of politics and social stuff as it relates to love and our beliefs, what I want to say is it really doesn't matter what side you are on. Politics are messy. But I want to honor today that our Congress passed a bill. That alone is enough to say, right? And guess what? It wasn't a unanimous Republican bill or a unanimous Democrat bill. It took both sides to get it done. Amen. Right? Collaboration. It was funding for Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan. And again, that can trigger some beliefs about whether you think that should be done or not. But wow, like there's some hope, right? There's you know, there's collaboration, right? Politics is messy, right? And more people today, they're either super engaged or they're anti-politics. I don't watch TV. I want nothing to do with that. And I respect that. I love this stuff. I love it, but I don't get drawn most of the time. I don't get drawn deeply into it. And I always try and keep some level of hope when it comes to that. And sometimes I get mad, but we don't want to get necessarily caught up in the frenzy of one side or the other. We need to be aware of the cracks and the canyons. Otherwise, it's just the blind leading the blind, right? We've got to look for the ways to navigate through the differences. Getting caught up in a game of blame and hate does everyone a disservice. So gentleness asks us to act rather than react. So if I get drawn into something that feels like I am against that and I'm going to move into it like this, and there's a time and place for that. We get to say, do I want to act with intention? Do I want to act with a sense of love and gentleness? Do I want to give space and breath to our frustration and fears, but not let them rule us? There are absolutely important things in the world that deserve our attention, time, and love. And some of them drop into the realm of politics and lawmaking and negotiating and all the stuff that goes with that. But when we are called to respond to whatever it is, we get to do so with love and compassion. Let us remember, we hear this all the time in this teaching, What we resist persists. So if it's all my heart, I don't want that person to become the president of the United States. I'm resisting it and I'm calling it into being, right? Force meets force.
Yep.
As opposed to breathing into this and saying, I see all that, I don't like it, but here's what I want. Like, here's what I want called into life to help this world be a better place. So I may have that reaction, but then I have to shift and call into what it is that I really want, right? Um, Fighting, even for a good cause, is resistance. So let's look at the causes we support and make sure that we aren't fighting the good fight. Instead, we're calling into our experience that which we want. Use love as your guide in all of your intentions. Apply it liberally. Lather, rinse, and repeat some love, right? Every day, lather, rinse, and repeat. Probably better than shampoo that has all those bad chemicals, I'm told by my son. And let the through the lens of love be open to experiencing more than you ever have before, and let love support you as you navigate your life. Now I know from some of the folks in here that you may look at social media sometimes. Some people maybe don't, right? It's everywhere. What did we do before social media, right? Read books, take a nap, right?
Back porch
Yeah,
with our friends.
just look at back porch with our friends, just look out into the world. Um, oh gosh, it could go on, right? We all know what we did before social media. But now it's easy, and I'm speaking general here. So much of our lives are taken up with these apps and these devices. Now, we get to stay in touch with our friends and what they're doing, right? That's kind of how they were initially created. Now they're a big business. Um, how many of you watch TikTok videos? Probably not too many in here. Now, I have occasionally, but I can tell you, my kids' generation, that is their social media, entertainment, everything. And I've gotten on it occasionally, and it is like it is worse for me than Lay's potato chips, right? Because when you watch a TikTok video, it pops up, and if you like it and stay, it's going to remember that you spent 14 seconds on it and give you more of it. And if you don't like it, boom, flick it up. Boom, flick it up. So I think about the way the brains are working, and I'm not judging it because it's obviously has some benefit, but it's like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Like it's so different from reading a book or looking at a flower or even watching an hour-long television show. It's 30-second, 10-second, 5-second, 4-second blasts of something. And my daughter sends the really good ones to me all the time, and I enjoy them. But it's shifting the way our brains work. Distraction upon distraction and upon distraction, because life is happening while any of us are down that rabbit hole. It is great, like I said, to connect with people, to celebrate successes and milestones. And these social media platforms are growing businesses and creating followings and giving people information about who's speaking at the Tulsa Center for Spiritual Living on Saturday night, right? So there's all sorts of good needs. Yet, how much time do we spend scrolling to find something of interest? Are you actually looking for something of value? What is the diversity of ideas and people on your social media accounts, right? Because those algorithms are giving us they're giving us what we're used to. So our lives are becoming more exclusive and limited in the world of social media, right? If someone's spouting off and I don't like it, boom, dislike. I'm not going to see it anymore. It's going to start going away. So it's just an interesting mix about whether we have that diversity of interests, right? Um, are you looking for inspiration and lifting up, or are you like rubbernecking a traffic accident? I do that sometimes. I'm like, I got to go look at that page because I know it's a train wreck and I want to see what's going on over there. What's the intentions here? So if we can bring this sense of gentleness even into this realm um, of social media, then we get to practice it in our lives. Social media is like the law too. What we focus on, we get more of. Those algorithms are feeding us more of what's catching our attention. So we get to be aware of what we watch, what we read, and pay attention to. We remember that everyone in our feed has the right to their own opinion, even if we disagree with it. And with gentleness, we can consider whether our time on social media is quality time or a waste of time, and then act from that. Do I want to be putting my time and intention here? Do I want to be present in this way? Do I want to put my thoughts and experiences out in a way? Or am I, let's bring it around to our teaching of where we focus our attention is what we're going to get more of. So if I want a great healthy relationship and my posting is all about how horrible relationships are, guess what I'm going to get more of, right? As opposed to moving about into a place of abundance, into a place of sharing about love and being authentic in what it is we want to call more of into the world. Okay. When we talk about community, shifting to community, we could talk about social media stuff for a long time, but we've created this, right, with our
No
thoughts.
battery, please charge.
All right, I'll talk louder. Maybe I'll plug that in. Our communities are filled with people. Look at all the lovely lights in this room. There are some that we like and we connect with, and then there are others maybe not so much.
Battery.
Ta-da. Thank you, Philippa.
What happened to the screen? The monitor was
Oh,
Technical difficulties.
we're back.
Nope, not yet.
The TV unplugged. That's on. Ah. Try turning the TV on over there.
Yeah. It went off, yeah.
I think it got unplugged. All right, where were we? Where were we? So individuals by themselves are one story, but community is a whole different thing. It has a different feel and an energy, and we make decisions differently in community. It doesn't matter if it is a work environment or our spiritual communities or the neighborhood that we live in. We see ourselves and our roles differently as we move through our different communities. Community is meant to be a place of belonging. This is a place of belonging. But sometimes it's difficult to allow that to be so when we feel we are in conflict. Because organizations have to make decisions. Do we go left? Do we go right? Do we stay where we are? And everyone's word and opinion has power in that, but it can be harder to feel that true sense of seeing love. Because of the gentleness we've been cultivating this month, we are more aware of who we are and who we want to be. Also, due to our growing self compassion and love, we forgive ourselves when we don't live up to our own standards. When we know and appreciate ourselves a little bit more, we're willing to change our perceptions and take things less personally. We move in our communities and lives with a greater awareness and a deeper love. Like I said, our organizations, whether it's your community center, your job, your team, your pod, your group of friends, like we're all deciding where do we want to do? What do we want to do? How do we want to go in this direction or not? And when we can allow differences to be heard and allow a deeper a sense of love to be at the center, then opinions can come out without judgment. And we got to remember to take a breath when things look different, when there are heated differences. And I was searching for an example of this because I know there are so many examples. There's an organization called Braver Angels, and their goal is to get, red folks and blue folks together to try and work for a common cause. Um, and they've had powerful differences where we can agree to we can talk about, like, say, let's throw a concept like abortion on the table, that we can understand there are very different opinions that influence what we believe about whether it should be or should not be. But how can we get to the place of recognizing our differences and finding some commonality so that we don't have vitriol for each other? And large groups of people in mass have a harder time doing that. You put 5 people around the table, and it's a very different story. So, this story that I found while searching today is about a small town. It's a true story in Millfield, Ohio. And during the 2020 presidential election, two neighbors, Sarah and Mark, found themselves at opposite ends of the spectrum. Sarah was a fervent supporter of one candidate. Mark passionately advocated for the other. Their political difference often led to tense conversations and occasional arguments. I just hope that as neighbors, they didn't have like a branch going over the fence into the other yard, to make it worse. But despite their opposing views, they shared a genuine respect and fondness for each other. Thanks. One day, during a particularly divisive discussion at a community event, Sarah and Mark found themselves at odds once again. Emotions were running high, and it seemed like their friendship was on the brink of being strained beyond repair. However, in a moment of clarity, Sarah remembered a lesson she had learned from her grandmother, who always emphasized the importance of what? Empathy and understanding, especially towards those with differing opinions. Taking a deep breath, Sarah turned to Mark and said, "You know, Mark, we may not see eye to eye on politics, but I value our friendship more than anything. I believe that beneath our political beliefs, we both want what's best for our country and our community." Whenever I get really engaged or triggered by one side or the other, I do remember in that these folks want the best. They just have a differing view of what that, maybe a dramatically different view of what that looks like. Mark was taken back by Sarah's sincerity. He too cherished their friendship and realized that their political differences didn't define the bond that they shared. And in the weeks that followed, Sarah and Mark made a conscious effort to focus on their common interest and shared values rather than their political disagreements. Myrna, you'll love this. They volunteered together at the local food bank. They organized community cleanup events, and they even then attended each other's family gatherings. They started to move beyond their difference to do things together, right? If I think the world will be a better place if only this politician was elected, well, guess what? How can we together with our differences make the world a better place right now in our community? So through their actions of kindness, understanding, and mutual respect, Sarah and Mark demonstrated to their community that it's possible to bridge divides and cultivate meaningful relationships with love and compassion, regardless of their differences. Thank you, Mark and Sarah, for being that example. So we are not creating giant gentleness from nothing. We are cultivating it. We are seeding it. We are watering it. We are supporting it. We are messing it up and then coming back to what we know. We're spreading it. We're tilling the soil. We've taken steps this month to be gentle with ourselves and to hold each other in gentleness. Life is ever evolving as we are. It's obvious in the way we used to do and think about things individually and collectively. And now we can stand in love and we can hold up love as our lodestone, as our attractor. We remember that there is more to life and whatever is before us. There's more to life than meets the eye. We remember to breathe and to act with intention, not just react. And we choose to love everyone and everything, even when we disagree. The giant is expanding and growing because we called it forth, because we choose to have a world that works better for everyone. Life is worth living and loving for all of us. So let's move forward and cultivate this energy of giant gentleness for ourselves, with others, in our community, and in our world. And what better word to end this talk other than
Namaste.
namaste, right? Yep. The thing in me recognizes the thing in you. And so it is. Thank you all.
So you said the TV's unplugged?
Well,
Yeah, it's out.
Oh.
did you want to say something?
I can force.
Thank you, Morris.
Fancy numbers. Thank you very, it was a very good talk.
Thank you, thank
enjoyed
you.
it. I was just right in there and then into the power. This is the first, moving on. This is the first time I thought of the song I Am Remembering. It would be so wonderful to be sung at an Alzheimer's center.
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah.
am remembering who I am. Who knows? And I love when you talk about seeing God. It reminded me how fortunate I am to be a woman. We have a flash. The reason it's I'm glad I'm a woman because in the Bible it says no man will see God's face.
All right.
That's not fair.
And I love how Holmes said, as you quoted, life is what we are. And I can't remember the man that we used to always listen to on YouTube, but